Hello, folks. Welcome back to World War II TV. And I have just got in from my drive back from Calais. I arrived there about midday this morning, having taken a ferry at 10 o'clock in the morning. Pretty slow drive back, but here I am back in Normandy. And this is my World War II We Have Ways Pod Festival number 4 debrief and general random thoughts. So, excuse the croakiness of my voice. Excuse the fact my eyes look like piss holes in the snows. That's a lack of sleep, too much talking, too much driving, etc., etc., etc. So there will be a theme to this. Hi, Darren. Good to see you at the weekend. Andreas too. George, others in the sidebar there. And my theme is perhaps an unusual one because I had a kind of recurring theme this weekend, and it was about confidence or a lack thereof. Several people I bumped into, well, they came up to me and they said, "Oh, Woody, World War II TV, we watch your channel." And I say, "Which kind of programs do you watch? Do you join in the sidebar?" And a recurring theme was, "Oh no, I'm not too confident to join in the sidebar. Everybody knows each other, so I tend to just sort of lurk in the background." And this connects to the fact that us historians, tour guides, call us what you want, we all suffer from, to some levels and degrees, of self-imposter syndrome. That moment before you're about to go and do a presentation to several hundred people, or that moment before, like this, I'm going to go live and talk to you guys. It's all relative. We all suffer from it. We all need it, I suppose. And hi, Colin. I have your Doom bars in the front room there. And by the way, folks, I'm taking an adult beverage today. This is Doom Bar. I bought back several cans from England, and so I'm enjoying a pint or two. I will have another one later on. So, firstly, if you're watching this either live or later on, but you're nervous about joining the sidebar, just join in. Just don't even think about it. You don't necessarily have to use your real name. You could use a screen name if you wanted to, but most of them, with a few exceptions, are very welcoming, very forgiving. And I think that's the theme that came out of the We Have Ways Festival. And if you don't know what that is, better kind of explain what it is. So James Holland and Al Murray run the incredible We Have Ways of Making You Talk podcast that began during lockdown. And this is the 4th annual World War II geek out, what's not to like gathering of vehicles, reenactors. I think this year there are 50 historians, including myself, giving talks and presentations. Some of them were World War II TV regulars as well, people like Prit Buttar, Roger Morehouse, Jenny Grant, just to name, Alex Church, just to name a few. And we just got discussing about this aspect of nerves. And no, Ian, Colin's Dome Bar is separate. When Colin I got the message from Colin, I was on the ferry, I went to duty free, and I got Colin some extra Doom Bar. So he will be drinking his own Doom Bar, just to point of note there. So and George, yeah, to use your quote, 9 out of 10 people are brilliant. This is another theme: the fact that you meet. You have 9 full English breakfasts and they're great, and the 10th one's always crap. You have 9 journeys that are great and the 10th one's always crap. That rule of 9 and 10. Anyway, if you're watching this, please join in, please interact. I know all of you who are there on the sidebar, you do interact, but it's the people who perhaps haven't got confidence. And yet it also got me thinking that the people who came up to me and said, "I don't interact on the sidebar," but at least they came up and interacted with me. Now, I do admit it's very busy at World War II We Have Ways Fest. You're always walking from a talk to another talk, or back for lunch, or going to the toilet, or going to meet somebody else, whatever. But I assume, therefore, there are people walking around that show who wanted to go up and talk to people, be it myself, be it James Holland, be it someone else they've got to know through this sidebar, or through the independent company on We Have Ways. And Ian Pegg runs a fantastic social for the independent company members, so the patrons of We Have Ways. So in fact, me and Colin were at the pub the other day in Bayer. Nothing unusual about that particularly. And afterwards, someone included us in their tweets and said, "Oh yeah, I saw you there, but I was too nervous to go up and talk to you." And it's like, well, we said, well, you should have done, because the worst that would have happened is you'd have elevated the conversation from the normal bollocks that Colin and I talk about in the pub, which is mostly war bollocks, football bollocks, random biscuit bollocks, and other kind of just general nonsense that two middle-aged, grumpy, cynical expat, but we're not expats, we're immigrants, don't forget that, folks, would talk about. So there you are. Come and watch, come and join in. And there we are. So then we have someone that has been outed. I have been outed. I have watched nearly all the shows, but never joined in before and was at We Have Ways. So there we are. I don't bite. There are some historians who bite. That's George's rule. For every 9 historians who don't bite when you meet them, there's that 10th one who does bite, or maybe hug you to death. So there we are. So the festival, yeah, it's a get together of everything that is to do with World War II. So the basic principle is it's James and Al's group of followers of their podcast who gather to share good times together. And then within that, there are 4 stages where there are talks ranging inside from the ENSA stage, the every night something awful stage, was an outdoor stage kind of near the beer tent and near the food where people go on a microphone and talk about sort of smaller subjects. Then there's the Arsenal, which is an enclosed quadrangle that bakes like an oven when the sun is out, and some people do their presentations there. That's where I did my I did one on the ENSA stage and one in the Arsenal. Then there's another sort of medium-sized stage that is called the briefing room, where some historians speak, and then there's a really, really big one that I don't know how many seats, but I'm going to guess like 800 people. With some photos to show you later on. And that's where the really big names like James Holland, James May from Top Gear was here this year, Doma O'Leary, and people join in discussions about war and memory and particular subjects like war films and the Burma campaign or Normandy 44, Monte Cassino, Peter Caddick Adams, people like that. And then around that main framework of shows, there's just a whole lot of stuff. I mean, there was probably like 25 World War II armored vehicles there, ranging from Sherman tanks to T-34 to Humber scout cars, things like that. Then there are other soft skin vehicles. There are people there with displays from museums, from charities. There are food stalls, of course. There are reenactors doing their stuff. There are, I'll show you some photos later, although I didn't take enough as I because I was always busy. And Brad joined us for Bollocks a few weeks, nearly months ago. Yes, I guess now, Brad. So this self-imposter syndrome thing, it all has different levels. And me and Andy Chatterton at Chats and a couple other guys from the CART group who do the work on the underground bunkers were built in Britain for the auxiliary units, etc., etc. We were talking about this debate we have within our heads about sometimes we're feeling really confident about things, other times we are putting ourselves down. And I came up and they kind of endorsed it with the idea of the squirrel of self-doubt. So the squirrel of self-doubt sits on your left shoulder. He is the one who's always telling you he can be a she. It's a modern, like, he can be non-binary, whatever you want they, he, she to be. But they are always telling you how crap you are and that you can't do this. And why are you starting to write a book? You can't write. You're pathetic. Why are you doing this? You're not very good. Well, you don't look good in that hat. By the way, this is a new hat I bought from my great friends at Stanley Biggs Clothier. They don't give it to me. I bought it. And they've been on, Sophie has been on the show before talking about stuff, and their vintage outfitters in Nottinghamshire does brilliant stuff. This is a fantastically, for my style of hat, fantastic one. I'll be wearing it a lot, I think, but maybe not when I'm streaming. It's gonna be my outside go-to hat. Anyway, the squirrel of self-doubt is always nagging at you and telling you what you can't do and why you shouldn't be doing things and why you shouldn't be talking to people there and why don't go and talk to them because they won't know who you are and you might be, maybe you'll embarrass them, maybe you'll be bothering them. I won't go up and ask the person for a selfie because they'll think I'm an idiot or that I'm doing whatever. So the squirrel of self-doubt is always there. We all have one of them. Then the other animal that sits on the right-hand shoulder is what I call the fuck it, let's do it fox. Now, the fuck it, let's do it fox is the kind of animal that gets you into trouble. I had a lot of, he was very influential in my early years. He's the kind of guy who tells you to kind of dress up in stupid clothes. He's the one when you're walking home from the pub, tells you to pick up a traffic cone and put it on your head and do a dance in the middle of the road. That's the fuck it, let's do it fox. But he can be naughty, but he's also very, very good at building you up. So the talk I did on Sunday on the Battle of Budapest. The irony being, I don't know much about the Battle of Budapest. I'm a Normandy guy, but I decided to do it. Blah blah blah. Good for you, Brad. Your fox has taken over in recent years. Fantastic. So the fox is the one telling you that you can do stuff. Fox is when I came off the stage, before going on stage, my squirrel of self-doubt is just going, you shouldn't be doing this. Look who's in the front row of the talk there. There's Roger Morehouse, who's written like 6 books about the Nazis and the Third Reich, and there's Claire Mully, the best-selling author Claire Mully. And look, there's people you know from your reenactment years watching you there in the audience, and there's Mag there, JD from History Underground is watching you. You're going to be really crap. And then you kind of start off, and after a minute or two, you get into it. And then, as George said, and George did a talk, and George is about a third or more, or no, more than a third of my age, maybe nearly a quarter way. George is an independent company member who ended up doing a fantastic presentation about Arno. I think, are you 16 now, or are you? I forget. You're young. You're under 20, aren't you, George? And as you said there, the fox arrived for me after I did the talk. Of course they do. The fox isn't there before you go on stage. The squirrel of self-doubt is there then. But as soon as you've finished and you've come off and people have given you a round of applause, or you have gone up to the stranger you didn't want to talk to, or you have done that thing you've been putting off because you were lacking in confidence, that's when the "fuck it, let's do it" fox comes out. And then he's going, yeah, I knew you'd be great. Let's go to the pub and celebrate. That is what and Susan is on tomorrow. Yes, the squirrel will be with you right now. The squirrel of self-doubt. And by the way, folks, we are going to be launching a clothing line. There'll be various ones you can get. One of them is probably an arrow pointing to your left shoulder saying, have you met my squirrel of self-doubt? One is, my squirrel of self-doubt is running amok today. That's another one. And I've already got some various cartoonists and graphic designer friends working on things like that. And then we'll have one with the "fuck it, let's do it" fox, and maybe one with both of them. So the point I'm making, slowly and laboriously, and I'll have a sip of beer, is that confidence and lack of it is a universal thing. I saw when James Holland was in Normandy, not the show he recorded with Al Murray, the Walking the Ground one that's just coming out now. He was doing another one no, it was that one. No, it was another one he was doing last year. There were so many. And he was just trying to record for the production team, just a filler bit. Hi, I'm James Holland. I'm in Normandy. This is a first part of us. Da, da, da. And he just couldn't do it. James Holland, Mr. One Take guy, who is fantastic, just had a moment where it all fell apart, and he just take after take after take. And it wasn't like it was 20 minutes or so; it was 5 minutes of doing it. But James Holland gets it. Al Murray, when I said about the squirrel of self-doubt, he said, yes, I'll get that t-shirt as well. Al Murray, who has gone on stage in front of thousands as the pub landlord over the last 30 years, suffers from the squirrel of self-doubt. I think everybody suffers from the squirrel of self-doubt. Mag will put in the sidebar there the quote by, she thinks it was Jacques Brel, the Belgian songwriter and singer, about self-doubt. But it's along the lines of, if you don't have, or about stage fright, if you don't have stage fright, then you haven't got talent. It's that kind of that concept of, because you've got self-doubt, it's because you want to do a good job, because you want to do things the right way. That's about maybe presenting and writing. As I say, it comes into the whole idea of going up to a stranger. And I know Ian Pegg from We Have Ways organizes, he suggests people who are nervous about meeting people for the first time, they meet at a particular location at the festival, and then they can kind of get to know each other. And that's a very good idea, to meet people in that way. Yeah, we did. I wish we'd had longer to spend talking to you, Ian, but we will see you in October. There's just too much to do. So that's the theme there. Try and limit how much your squirrel of self-doubt affects your confidence, and know that the "fuck it, let's do it" fox will be back, making you feel confident about things. But the point, you can't have them both at the same time. And before going on stage, my squirrel of self-doubt was 8 foot tall with big fangs, shaking his head at me and going, no, you're an imposter, blah, 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 blah. So that's my theme. My theme is be confident, do things that are outside your comfort zone, go and speak to people, and don't be shy, especially at the We Have Ways Festival. And that kind of brings me to kind of summing up what the event is all about, because I've been to all sorts of music festivals and history conferences and things over the years, and other kind of get-togethers of sporting get-togethers. And some of them are very welcoming, some of them are very cliquey, some of them are very, you don't want to talk to people. And the We Have Ways Fest is just extraordinarily open. You will literally be standing in the queue to get your loaded fries, and Al Murray will be standing behind you. There is a green room where the historians go to get their sandwiches and drinks and just be away from the things to prepare for their talks, things like that. But other than that, they're out there meeting people and chatting to people. That's how it was. Yes, Willius, World War II TV self-help channel coming on. Well, I was speaking to Anne, or Lady Raven, who's one of the volunteers. She's a regular. She says, we were talking about, maybe some of the Woody effect of kind of trying to be a nice person and trying to just be good to people and build people up and make people feel good about things. And that's one of the things about the festival that I love, is that people the audience, the fellow historians, the reenactors, they're all willing everybody to do well. No one's at the back of a lecture waiting to pick you up on things. If you make a mistake, and I made a couple of minor gaffes in my talk, not gaffes, areas of things that I didn't know about fully, they want you to do well. They're not doing that. If they do correct you, it's in a very polite way. So I went to the green room quite a lot, but I go there because I know that my friends will be there, George, and you get to that's one way, and you can sit down and talk to people you like. And anyway, so let's throw up some photos. So just because, if you don't know, I live in France and I get to England 2, 3, sometimes maybe 4 times a year. The first thing I do, a couple of things I do when I go back to England. One of the things I do is I have a Greggs sausage roll. That's one of the first things I do. That was in Colchester, where I went to see my mum and dad. And I always get some kind of big old full-on English breakfast, cardiac arrest inducing heart attack on a plate. That was in Colchester. That was kind of brunch, actually, but that was very nice. I never liked the baked beans being in a ramekin. Put them on the bloody plate. If I order the baked beans, I don't mind them touching other food. Ramekins, that'll be something I'll do about in the podcast I'm doing with Colin. That'll be kind of things that annoy us. Put the food on a damn plate. I don't want a slate. I don't want a board. I don't want an old jerry can. I don't want some ballerina's shoe. I want my food on a plate, and that plate can be round or oval at a push, and I want cutlery. Anyway, whatever. Ranty. And I have a pint of beer. Greenie King. That was in Colchester. And then I went up to the festival. This is the opening night, when Jim and Al, some of the IC company regulars, the volunteers, gathered, and they kind of just kicked things off, and that was pretty cool. How dare you say baked beans are yuck, Grim? What are you like? What are you like, man? And John McManus was there. John, of course, does the that was random, Norm. I don't know why I said ballerina show, but there was a restaurant in England that was serving food in old VHS boxes. So I've seen there's a Facebook group I just want a plate or something, where people post photos of the bizarre things people have had. One was I've seen food served in shovels, like coal shovels. Crazy. John McManus on the right there, regular on World War II TV, and also regular on the We Have Ways America or USA editions, where they talk about primarily US related World War II subjects. John is just one of the loveliest human beings in the world. Him and his wife Nancy, I'm proud to say, are both fantastic. Yes, older VHS boxes and cardboard ones as well. Not even, I don't know how they keep them clean. Anyway, whatever. Let's not go off on a way restaurant stuff. Well, yes, great. It is also that Al Murray and James are very tall. I think Al is 6'3", James is 6'2", I think, or about that. So John isn't short. He's just beside those two. He's massive. They seem short because they seem massive. And that's the opening night, or the opening day. That was lunchtime on Friday, morning on the Friday, when things kick off. So that's the big tent. So if you can guess how many people there are there, I don't know. It's James Jeffries at the front there, and Mag with her hat, and that's Nancy McManus on the right there next to Mag. That gives you an idea of the size. There's Jenny Grant there, Mag, John McManus on the right there. So we're waiting for James and Al to do their first kind of open to the show, and that is their open to the show there. And yeah, it is Terry. Oh, my old mate Terry Spike Woodham. people are great, friendly people. Well, they're not all are. There are some weirdos at any event of that size. We're 3,500 people. There are a few oddballs, but the great majority are really fantastic. 1,000, Darren says. Well, that would make sense. 1,000 in that hall there. That's the Armory. That's one of the lectures I went to or presentations I went to on a Friday. That's Matt and Robbie from Fighting on a Film sitting to the left there. And that's Sebastian Abineri, who was one of the Attenborough's private army guys in the making of A Bridge Too Far, kind of an extra special ability extra in A Bridge Too Far. So he was telling fantastic stories about working on the movie and Anthony Hopkins and working with Maximilian Schell, who played Modal, and Richard Attenborough, and running through burned out buildings and doing all that kind of stuff. Breaking up a bit. My audio is breaking up. That's weird. That's my new microphone. It should be very good. Maybe I'm talking too fast. So that was fantastic. Yeah, I hate going in a building called the Arsenal. I want to call it the Armory because I don't like saying the word Arsenal. Really weird. That's my old mate Rich Fisher. Fisher's been on the show a few times. He runs the fantastic Vickers MG Association, and yeah, great stuff. I don't know why it would be crackling. That's weird. I hope if anyone else is noticing it crackling, let me know. Maybe it's just at your end, Darren. Let's hope it's to your end. There's Prit Buttar. Prit, of course, I guess he is the other side of the fantastically nice person, along with John McManus. Prit Buttar is absolutely awesome. Just you couldn't get a nicer guy. Absolutely just wonderfully fantastic guy. And there was some crackling. This is my new microphone. It should be really good. I don't know why that would be. Maybe it was when I was picking up my beer. That's odd. I'm really upset. This is my brand new microphone. It should be really good. I'll move a bit closer. Okay, that's odd. I'm a bit upset about that. Yeah, but Pretty's a lovely guy. My old friend Stuart Wilby. Stuart is a reenactor friend, along with Spike Woodham, who's in the sidebar earlier. Known Stuart for nearly 40 years. Met up with him. Tom Sellan, who was a Normandy guide in here and moved back to the Wales. So some of you are saying my audio is fine. Some are saying it's a bit crackly. Maybe it's slightly higher volume, and I don't know. I'll do a test tomorrow. This was a fantastic living history display beside the Arsenal of a regimental aid post at Arnhem, with absolutely incredible dedicated living historians, they would say. The tension that We Have Ways only has the very best living historian reenactors. Normandy, alas, has some good and some really, really awful reenactors. That was cracking, right? I don't know what's going on with the cracking. Maybe, is it my stream okay? Is it my internet quality is okay? I don't know. I'll have to do a test tomorrow. I will investigate. Maybe it's my voice that's cracking and the microphone is absolutely fine. I don't know. They were filming when I was there, so I couldn't, at that moment there, I couldn't go in later on. And there'll be something else I want to tell you about sometime in the future World War II TV show about an exchange. I gave, basically, long story short, I gave a medal grouping that I'd had from an Arnhem veteran back to the family, and that was pretty cool. But I will tell you about that at some point. So most of you are saying no noise issues. So it's the microphone, but I don't know what's going on. Let me unplug it a second. Right. No, the colorful. I should be here. You should be hearing me okay. I just unplugged it. I think it actually might be my internet connection is a bit wobbly today for some reason. I haven't used the computer for a week. So on Saturday, We Have Ways. I do actually wear Hawaiian shirts semi-regularly in the summer anyway. But at Saturday at We Have Ways, it is a charity day. Finley's Touch is a fantastic charity to raise money for help and assistance for people and families of children with a very rare blood cancer. Al Murray's nephew, his sister-in-law and brother-in-law, they lost their son Finley a couple of years ago. to this. And Finley's Touch creates packages for families of children in hospital with cancer. I'll just take Dan. That's Dan Ellin there, another regular on World War II TV. I'll just put myself back on again while I talk about something rather serious. So they do care packages for people in hospital. They give money to people who are struggling, families who are struggling with cancer, etc., etc. And so Saturday we wear Hawaiian shirts. I forget how exactly it became Hawaiian shirts, but and then how you have a sticker saying you've donated. And last year, I think they raised about £15,000, and this year the fundraising began before the event actually began. People were doing marches across the UK and in the USA. I think various people getting involved. I think they've raised something like £54,000 so far this year for this incredible charity. And Finley's dad comes up on stage on the Saturday night when they award. The idea is to wear really awful Hawaiian shirts, and then the winner of the worst Hawaiian shirt gets a little prize. And the couple, there was a couples award and a families award. And I don't like wearing a really awful Hawaiian shirt. I like to wear one I actually like because well, I just do. So that's a charity aspect of the event, which also brings people together, because if you see a person wearing a Hawaiian shirt, you know that they have contributed to the charity, and so it's a way of bonding. And oh, that's a terrible shirt, or that's a good shirt, blah blah blah. So Dan Ellin from the Bomber Command archive up in Lincoln was there. He wears bizarre shirts most of the time. Sound seems to have got better. That's good. The wonderful Claire Marley. This is me with people I know and who authors. I didn't take anything like enough selfies. The problem is that you just get too busy and you're talking and you're rushing off to places and you end up, forgetting. But Claire Mully is delightful. Old mate Eddie from Reenactment Days. He's up on the Les Parachutistes display. Brian Parfit I've known for forever. Dave Hebden I've known forever. This is the ENSA show. So that was the British Army Entertainment Service in World War II. It was known as unofficially known as Every Night Something Awful. And the Saturday night, Al and James put on an hour and a half long comedy sketch show, and it is insanely funny. I mean, Al Murray obviously is a comedian. His day job is comedian. His other job is as a World War II podcaster. And Al did a routine I'd heard him do 25 years ago, and I won't explain what it is, but it's to do with accents lending themselves to certain mannerisms, shall we say. It was truly hilarious, Darren. There's spoofs of war films, spoofs of Band of Brothers, Fury. Everything was spoofed up. Lots of rude words. It was just absolutely fantastic. And so that's the Saturday night. I mean, my mate Neil Sylvester King, I've known him for forever. And this is the kind of the hardware. There's Daimler Dingoes and Universal Carriers and T-16s and self-propelled guns and main battle tanks and Shermans and the Sherman tanks from Fury, and this. And I took a handful of photos, and I took them in the early in the morning before they set up. This is a Remy workshop, airborne workshop, and quads and 25-pounder. So I didn't take many photos. Alex Scott's amazing Ford Heavy, the Humber Scout car. Oh, my favorite armored vehicle of World War II, I think, without question. Me and my old mate Alex, I've known Alex for about a cajillion years. He does the arena commentary, and I bring him over saucisson sec from France, as I bring Al Murray saucisson sec, which is dried French sausage, which they have a taste for. The wonderful Leslie, running girl, key member of the independent company. Now, she's the kind of person who would inspire everybody. Fuck it, let's do it, Fox. So she was just kind of vaguely interested in World War II a few years ago. Then became barely armored, Great Dominion, but still armored. And then became one of the independent company members following We Have Ways. And she started watching people like me, and I expect she watches people like Brad as well. And well, 4 years down the road, she's not only drumming in the band, the Achtung Babies band of IC members who put on a show on the after the ENSA show on Saturday night, but Leslie's now a Holocaust tour guide. I mean, she toured the Holocaust sites with Waitman Bjorn a few years, and now she's out there doing it as a historian. So she has gone from not a historian but interested to a historian in a short 4 years. So her squirrel of self-doubt may have been influencing her 4 years ago, but now her "fuck it, let's do it, Fox" is running the show, which is fantastic. Kevin Hemel, the incredibly insane, bizarre, but wonderful Kevin Hemel, another World War II TV regular, of course. Where have we got him? We took his photo under the General Patton flag. There was a General Alexander flag, a Monty flag, a James Gavin flag. Who else was there? I can't remember who else it was. And that's me last night back in a pub in Deal in Kent, having a pint of Spitfire and fish and chips. And then I took the ferry, came back home, and unpacked my books and started talking to you guys. So there we are. So that's a bit of a run through. And you're right, Terry. It is absolute heaven for World War II history nuts. It's got everything. I mean, it absolutely has. Now, I want to be clear that I understand fully that there are people who watch this who can't travel to UK either because of financial reasons, or mobility reasons, or agoraphobia, whatever it would be, and that's why people watch YouTube. And I'm not in any way saying you have to go to We Have Ways. People don't always like going to outside festivals, or they can't afford to go to outside festivals. I'm lucky; I get to speak there, so it's different for me. So don't think that just watching YouTube and just listening to podcasts, it is in any way meaning you're not doing it properly. I'm just saying this is a bonus. This is an extra. I'm trying to. You mentioned someone a couple of minutes ago, John Parshall's exotic shirts. My microphone is cracking again. I don't know what's going on. I'll have to do a test. This is the new one. I'll have to look at the settings of it. It must be there, or I don't know what's going on. Cutting out or crackling? It doesn't matter. I'll work on it tomorrow. I can't work it out what's going on right now. Some people are saying there's nothing wrong with it. I'll have a look. But I'll do that tomorrow when I'm investigating things, before Susan is on tomorrow afternoon for her evening for me. I forgot what I was talking about now. What was I talking about? It's cutting out. Then it might be the internet signal. My internet signal is fine. Don't know what's going on. I'll investigate it. It's an internet issue. So it's more likely that it's the internet doing something weird. Let me look under my table at my... oh, it's a picture as well. Then it is the internet then. But it's not telling me that... let me just quickly, while I'm talking to you, check my internet speed. Just talk amongst yourselves. I'm just checking my upload speed. Oh, it's a little bit slow. It's a little bit slow today. No, it's picking. Oh, download is... Just talk amongst yourselves. I'm checking out my internet connection. Upload. Oh no, I've got 700 megabits a second. Megabits a second. That's not... So it's normal. Don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's doing that. My apologies if things are not working perfectly. The picture hasn't failed, but some picture just stuttered. Loud and clear, my soap. It could be YouTube. You all get... Oh no, hang on. Now my signal is going weak. This is weird. Hang on, I'll have a sip of beer. Yeah, it's a signal. It's the internet. Hang on. Just talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, it's not the microphone. It's the internet. Though it's a thing in France. Yeah, it's okay. So at least I know it's not the microphone. It's something to do with the internet. Yeah, beer often solves the problem. I'll just keep drinking beer and talking. I'm not saying anything important, for goodness sake. It's rubbish. Anyway, so yeah, if though you can get to the We Have Ways Fest, it's just great. I met a couple of people, and they said, you know what? I finally found people like me, and I think that's kind of sums it up really. if you're one of the afflicted, as is kind of the slang phrase for people who are part of the independent company, for We Have Ways, and you don't have to be a member of the independent company. That means you're a Patreon. That means you're contributing financially. You can listen anyway, as people on WW2 TV. There are people who support me, and there are people who watch without supporting. I like it when people support me because it means I can afford to go to places like We Have Ways, and I can afford to do the research trips and things like that. But it's a bonus. It's there are the other people there are the same kind of weird you are. And by weird, I mean interested in our past. And there we are. You get talks, you get to see vehicles, and above all, you get to speak to people. And yes, Mag, you did. Your wonderful partner took pictures for you of me on stage. I didn't put the ones up of me speaking on stage. I could have done, but it felt a bit self-promotional. They're on my social media. They're on my social media pages. They're on Twitter and Facebook. X as it is. I refuse to call Twitter X. It's Twitter. Musk may have branded it, but it's Twitter. It's not a great name, Twitter, but it's better than X. But anyway, so there we are. We Have Ways is an opportunity to get people together, and it's about the quality. And I don't get paid anything from James and Al to say nice things about the festival. There are some really crap reenactment events. There are some really awful 1940s experience type things in the UK and USA and around the world. There are some conferences where it's very academic and not very inclusive in terms of knowledge. It's just they don't always reach full satisfaction levels with me. We Have Ways is both, it's academic in the quality of the information, but it's not academic. And I'm not putting down academia. Academia is fantastic. So a lot of my great guests are academic. By academic, I'm using academic in a particular way to kind of talk about it being about sort of professional, not introvert, that's not what I mean, but kind of within an institution learning. Does that make sense? Whereas We Have Ways is about imparting, sharing the information. Here is what I've learned. Because when Prit Buttar, for example, comes on and talks about the siege of Leningrad for 45 minutes, which he's written 2 400-page books on, of course it is a condensed version. It's a way of making it accessible, but still keeping it factually based. I mean, if Prit talks about Leningrad, I listen. Prit is just such a lovely guy, but it's making it accessible. It's like, here's an entry point. Here's a presentation about this for people who don't know about it or do know about it, but you'll get something out of it. And if you want to go further, here's a course you can take. Here's a more detailed book you can read. Here's a thesis you can look at, an academic paper. Yeah, I'm not. There are people who think I've got a down on academics, but there are people who think I've got a down on popular historians and only like academics. So as with all YouTube feedback, if you get both, it's probably mean you're doing it right. You know, like as you know, folks, people say I talk too much on my shows with my guests, not enough. The shows are both too long and too short at the same time. I do too much and not enough Eastern Front content, too much and also not enough D-Day content. My shows are too detailed. They're not detailed enough. There are too many images, not enough images. There you go. This is what we do. You can't please everybody, but We Have Ways. It's accessible. And there's always 3 or 4 things on at the same time. So if one conference, one presentation feels a bit, that's a bit highbrow for me, there'll be one on somewhere else that's more about war films or about something more down to earth. So you just go and do what you want. Also, a delightful number of people came up who were complimentary about Ipswich making their way back to the Premier League. 2 or 3 of them were actually Ipswich fans, but some of them were people from fans of other teams saying of all the teams they like to be in the Premier, Ipswich are a good team, and they are a good team. And yes, I like to think I've got a good thing going on here as well. But the World War II TV community is fantastic as well. I don't know that I'm quite up to having a festival. I don't know that I've got the organizational skills, frankly. Come on town, Terry. Terry, you live near the ground ish. So yeah, a lot of people in the sidebar were there. and about 3,500 members of the public there. And that's the thing that, for example, the living historians say, is that you get a better quality of question because the people there are really, really invested. So that they would say, "Oh, that's the Mark III asterisk," as opposed to the Mark III. They can notice that kind of thing. Whereas in some organizations, "Oh, that's a Spitfire." We have ways people go, "Oh, that's a Mark IX Spitfire." That kind of difference. So there we go. And yes, Escape to Victory, and is the link there, Richard? Yeah, pity about the first game of the season. Pity for you, David. We're gonna thrash you. We're at home. 3-1 Ipswich, David. Mark my words. You hear it here, heard it here first. Mags doesn't do beer. Mags does a bit of white wine for the lady, as that's an Al Murray joke. Beer for the men, white wine for the lady. She does like the fish and chips, though. We had big fish and chips in Colchester the first night. No, the venue is fine. The venue is perfectly big enough. It's they've got loads of fields they're not using, loads of PowerPoints. It's just more the management. No, I didn't sell. I didn't have the bookshop that's there can't stock my book because my first Angels of Mercy book was self-published. It's complication and blah blah blah. The Battlefields book, they sold a few. I think I did 3, but I sold 3 and I signed 3 at the book signing. 3. I think Claire Mully sold 300 books, so I did 1% of Claire Mully's signing. But it's a book that's been out for a couple of years. Next year, my own book might be out. Let's see. Let's hope. If not the year after, then maybe I'll sell 4 next year. I came back with 10 new books. I kind of thought that would be enough. Two bags of books. That includes 1 at a charity shop. I bought that in Colchester, so 9 at the event. And then at 11th, actually, I was given a unpublished proof of a new book about a guy at Arnhem. Who gave me that? That wasn't Roland. It was Robert. I can't remember who gave me that. But anyway, where is it held? It's held at at the Black Pit Brewery, which is about a mile away from the Silverstone Formula One racetrack. It's right in the centre of the country. Really easy to get to. Just sort of off the M1. Lots of accommodation nearby. The guests and the historians, a lot of the kind of key people stay at the Hilton, the Garden Hilton at Silverstone, and it's pretty good. And yeah, so I didn't sell many books, but lots of authors did. I think last year the bookshop there sold over 4,000 books. I think someone said. So this year they probably would have done about 6,000. So if there's 3,500 people there, that means on average each person bought 2 books, which would sound about right. Yeah, so I'm not going to turn this into an Ask Me Anything because I will do that at some other point. I was talking to Lady Raven, who was a volunteer there, and she was saying, "We love it, Woody, when you say, I'm just going to talk a couple more minutes, I'm going to stop now, and you carry on for another hour." Yeah, I do that. I ramble. The thing is, the more I'm talking to you, the less Mag has to put up with me in the other room, although she is actually watching it, although probably she's got it half on and is on her phone doing other more important stuff, like talking to people that matter and getting on with her job and her work. But you can camp there as well, of course, as camping is popular, glamping and camping. And so, yeah, Mag, me talking to you means it's saving Mag from listening to me. Picture's gone blurry, so it is the internet. There's something up with the internet or YouTube, or internet and YouTube. I'll have a sip of beer while I'll let the festival, the picture get better. Excuse me. I should be drinking off camera. I'm probably encouraging you to drink too much. Don't drink too much. Remember, moderation is key in everything. I have a little sip of Doom Bar. So there we are. Ramble on. So a few more thoughts about the festival. It's encouraging to see that so many people are invested in continuing to study World War II and also look at new ways of studying World War II. I did have the feeling a few years ago that people were kind of happy with their old books. They were happy with their Stephen Ambrose, happy with their Max Hastings, happy with their green books, that were American military books. And yeah, what's the point of doing new stuff? It's lovely that people are really invested in what's the latest study on this and who is the new person. People like Jack Bauscher, who did a show, 2 shows on World War II, a myth show and a Burma one about forgotten armor in Burma. Jack is another one who's gone on. 4 years ago, he was a visitor to the event. 3 years ago, I think he spoke the first time. I think he spoke again last year. This time he spoke and had his book out. So he's another one. Yeah. So people are wanting to know more. They are wanting to get into things, into the weeds. They're interested in new subjects. It doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean there isn't room to grow. There isn't room for more festivals. I'm Katia who lives in England, but she's German, was there presenting. There were a couple of other German presenters. I think there was one Dutch presenters. 3 or 4 American historians were on site, but there could be maybe in the future be more representation from around the world. There were no Australian historians there speaking, for example, no Filipino, no Russian. Obviously, that's difficult these days, but you could get someone from Ukraine or Belarus or somewhere like that. So, yeah, but they know that. James and Al know that it grew out of a small thing and is becoming a bigger thing, and it's lots and there were no Canadians this year, Brad. Now, Mark Milner was there in what was it? Was he there? Wasn't there last year? The year before, I think Mark Milner was there. Obviously, Mark Milner is too busy wrestling polar bears. That's my mental image of Mark Milner, is that when he comes, he hasn't been on my show for a year or two. When he comes on my show, I feel he's literally been in the outside on an ice floe, pulling blubber out of a whale, has come in and kind of got the blubber off, then he picks up the microphone and starts talking about Normandy. That may not be I may not have got Mark Milner's life exactly how it is, but that's how I picture Mark. David O'Keefe would go down a treat there. I did introduce David O'Keefe to James Holland. I think it was on June the 4th this year, so maybe James will be there. I want to get John Parshall there to talk about Midway, but yeah, a lot more people there. You're laughing at I honestly, in my head, Mark Milner is like, he looks at his diary. It's like, okay, teaching in the morning, wrestling a polar bear at lunchtime, bit of whale hunting in the afternoon, and I'm going to do a live stream of Woody, and then that'll be my day. I feel that's what Mark Milner's diary looks like. David O'Keefe is taller than David O'Keefe. Al and James together would look like the front row of a rugby team or something. So yeah, I feel I'm kind of wandering off course a bit, but just remind you what we've got coming up on the channel, WW2 TV. We've got various presentations, a couple of lots of personal stories coming up. Susan, who is a Patreon and Brigadier of the channel, is coming to talk about her father tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to. We've got other shows coming up. Still got some Monte Cassino ones to get back to, some more Normandy ones. NCR Davis is coming on to talk about her mother, who was a nurse in the Patton's Third Army. That's coming up later. Paul Woodadge from is talking about the Poles in Monte Cassino, and particularly General Anders. Lots of stuff coming up. Yeah, Mag bought me a book at the bookshop, but I already got it. So I felt bad, but I wasn't going to lie. I don't know that he may not, but in my head, he just looks like someone who's always got a bit of whale carcass in his beard. I might have a dribble of Doombar, but I'm not going to have, I don't know. That's my impression of Mark Milner, that we've gone on a weird tangent now where I'm talking about the fact that I have a potential theory that Mark Milner is a outdoorsman, but I think he has talked about it a little bit. I think he has talked about how much he goes outside and does stuff. But anyway, yeah. Peter Caddick Adams, just to talk about Peter Caddick Adams for a moment, what another absolutely wonderful human being he is. It's interesting when he goes to Chalk Valley, another history festival organized also by James Holland, but that's all periods, and it's a very different dynamic, not better, not worse, just different. When Peter Caddick Adams is there, he wears his red trousers and his kind of, silky shirts and ties and cravats and waistcoats and stuff. He doesn't stand out at Chalk Valley because Chalk Valley is in kind of the southwest of England, kind of a poshish area with lots of retired bankers and colonels and things like that. And so he doesn't stand out there. But we have ways is people wearing bad Hawaiian shirts and camo and stuff like that. So Peter Caddick Adams with his sartorial elegance stands out incredibly easily at We Have Ways, and is always, of course, in demand for a chat. and ends up missing half the presentations he wants to attend because he just gets talking to people and people love him. And who doesn't want to sit and listen to Peter Caddick-Adams talk, or Katia Hoyer, or Claire Mully, or Kate Vigers, Alex Church, all these other people here. Oh, that's another good thing about the festival. More and more women appearing, attending, getting involved. It is a bit, there is a bit of a middle-aged, balding, slightly overweight kind of profile. I was joking to people that if a bomb had gone off at the festival, that's no more Airfix kits sold for 20 years. That's no more, because that was the UK's military history, Airfix, commemorative, World War II beer tankard kind of audience there. John Buckley, what a god, as frankly I would like to call John Buckley. No one knows and understands the Normandy campaign from the point of view of the British Army and the armor better than John Buckley. I did have a couple of people tell me that there is a thing that they have started saying, the Woody Wobble. So the Woody Wobble apparently is beyond about 11 p.m. when I've had a couple of pints, I do a bit of a wobble. I don't know I'm doing a wobble. It's obviously an internal stabilization mechanism going on where I'm trying to keep upright. And ironically, well, not ironically, it's kind of ironically, my talk on Battle of Budapest was on Sunday afternoon at 12 midday. And Saturday is the Ensa show. It's the stay up late. Now, bearing in mind, as a historian, you're getting on the minibus from the hotel at 8:15. So it's a pretty early start. You go to breakfast first. You're up till the minibus back to the hotel for the historians there's one at 11:30 p.m., one at 12:30 p.m. So I think Saturday night had like 5 hours sleep. So you get there, and in the morning, after the night before, sentence, words, order. Alex Churchill, who said he was saying all the right words, so you just had to put them together yourself like an anagram. And I'm thinking, oh God, if not, I'm talk word order correct, not talk, not well, go, dear, oh shit, problem, solution, get brain functioning again. So luckily, by the time my talk came around, the cog had gone back in, and I was able to get my sentences out quite well. But yeah, it was Alex Churchill saying, yeah, Woody, you were saying the right words, but the order was all gone. So you had to put it together like an anagram. So yeah, beer does do that. So, and I'm 55 years old, and I can't take it like I used to. And anyway, yeah, I love Alex. Alex is just, that's the delightful thing about this, is you end up spending time with people you just, hell, I'm going to say it, people you love. I love Alex Churchill, love Peter Caddick-Adams, love Prip Buttar, love Robbie and Matt from Fighting on Film. And if I didn't say I love you, there's lots of other people I love there, and it's so lovely. Going back to the squirrel of self-doubt, when people come up to me, several people came up to me and said, you helped get us through lockdown, you and History Hack, and we have ways got us through lockdown. I was in a bad place, and yeah, that's wonderful. People coming up saying how important World War II TV is in their lives, and it's important in my life as well. I don't have much else in my life, just cats, Mag, and that's not the right order. I've reverted. It's Mag, cats, World War II. Colin's in there as well in the mix somewhere, my family, all that. Again, no particular order there. Mag's first, obviously, but yeah, I got my words out in the right order. But yeah, seeing and everyone lets their hair down. It's not like there's a kind of hierarchy where only the kind of the lowbrow historians have a drink or two. The highbrow historians have a drink or two. Not everybody. Some people don't drink, and that's fine. But most people are just there to have a good time, talk shop a bit, talk nonsense a bit. And there we are. So I will wrap things up because I'm hungry. It's huge, Woody. It's a community for introverts. That is it. Norma, you were missed this year. I must have had a dozen people come up and say, "Is Norma here this year?" I said, "No, she's not here." There was a big gulf in the showground. The kind of the aura of despair that was the space where you should have occupied. If you'd been there, it would not have been an aura of despair. Kind of a because you're one of those people who brings light to people. So thanks for that, Norma. You're fantastic, and yeah, your presence was missed, which is a shame. Yeah, I'm gonna go now because I'm gonna have something to eat because I've had beer on a kind of an empty stomach. So there we are. I didn't. That's a joke. Certain members of the historian fraternity get little gifts from the sponsors, and Vertex watches were supporting the event, as were Osprey Books and Ledger Tours and various other organizations. Fantastic help they got there. And Alan James would make for several references to the fact that what's the, on via my Vertex watch, time is 8:30. And yeah, and Darren, great meeting you. And it's a shame that I don't get to spend more time with people, but I'm so divided there. Oh, well, my last thought. He said he was gonna go, but I've got one. My last thought is, I have kind of a weird path to what I do. I left school at 16 and did various things. So I because of this, because of World War II TV, because of so let's go through the three categories. Because of he is sweet, isn't he, Mag? He's not quite as sweet as you, but he is sweet. So the first group of World War II people I knew were reenactors, living historians, and vehicle owners. That goes back to my teens. So we're going back 40 years. And some of those people go to the event. So that's the first group of that's in the Venn diagrams of overlaps in Woody's life. That's the first World War II area I was in, is reenactors, living historians. Then the second one was tour guides. So I got to know tour guides when I was living in Normandy historians who were coming over to also work as tour guides in Normandy. Oh, internet's dropped again. I don't know what's going on today. So people like Alex Kershaw, I got to know via that method. Joe Balkowski, Marty Morgan. Who else did I get to know from that? I guess John McManus. Various other people that way I got to know via the method of touring. So I know the tour. Oh, Paul Reed would be one of those. And the third group of people were the bona fide historians, which I got to know post World War II TV. So, you know, I knew Peter Caddick Adams going back to the tour guide phase, but Prit Buttar, for example, would be a good example. So when I go to We Have Ways, I can kind of walk anywhere on that showground, and there'll be someone I know from one or other of the three areas of overlap in my World War II life. So a simple thing like I want to go and have a wee, and I'll walk to go and have a wee, and I bump into three people on the way. It happened to me. I was walking back. I wasn't going back for a wee. I was going back to get my bag, and I spoke to Stuart Wilby, who I had a photo of earlier, who I had not seen for some time. Trevor Poole. I saw Trevor Poole, another reenactor friend. I'd not seen Trevor in at least 22 years. And then I step on 10 feet and I met a guy who watches my channel. I think his name was, I know I met Harry. I think it was Harry who was the next guy I met. Harry came up and said how important it was, the channel, to him. And he felt like he knew me. But for me, it was the first time I had spoken to him. So old friend who I'd known 40 years, not seen 22. And then, if you like, a new friend. So I can get stuck. It's not stuck. Stuck in terms of loss of time, not stuck in terms of loss of interest. Meeting so many people. That's why it's probably the best 3 days of my year right now. I'll leave it at that. We Have Ways Festival 4 was the best 3 days of my year so far. And that's counting someone who was here in Normandy for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. But there we are. I'm going to go and have something to eat. And it'll be a bizarre choice. I will have some hot cross buns, which I normally meant for Easter, but there was some in a shop. I bought them, which they're a British thing. I guess you have them in America as well, Australia. Bit of butter, have a bit more beer, and maybe some English confectionery of some kind. So have a good day. I will see you all back again tomorrow. I will try and find out what's going on. I think it's just the internet. I don't think it's the microphone. And I will see you all again tomorrow. In the meantime, if you've just discovered me, because maybe you met me at the festival, if you just discovered me because you're bored and you found me, or if you already know who I am. Again, as always, details in the description. Click like and subscribe, and consider becoming a Patreon. But I will see you all again tomorrow. This is Paul Woodadge, Woody from WW2TV, bidding you all adieu. Au revoir. I will see you all again tomorrow. Cheers. Bye.